Morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome, Teresa, to our live website wisdom, which I love this topic always.
This topic, honestly, is near and dear to my heart. Probably my entire adult career life. No matter what career I was focused on, this is something that has always been a part of what I do, is creating those nurturing relationships through email.
And you do it really well, and not just through email, also through personal connection, right? Like we do how we got to know each other. So, all right, tell us what we should be doing when it comes to nurturing our relationships through a series of emails or just your email list in general.
So today I really want to talk specifically about the email list, because while you'll see things like I've seen recently, I saw something that said email lists are dead on Facebook. Stop paying attention to that stuff, honestly. I just stop paying attention and really get to know your client and what it is. Sometimes
Yes.
email lists may not be the best way, but for me, my email list has always been the best way of filling my pipeline tomorrow. And it's one of those things that I have had since I launched my first business 10 years ago. And I still have people on my list from 10 years ago. And I was a life coach 10 years ago, but they wanted to stay on my list because of the relationship that we have built. And
Yes.
and what is beautiful about this is they're not always my target audience, in a sense that they don't need a website, but they continue to follow me because of the relationship we built, and they continue to refer me, which is a really powerful thing that we don't think about getting from our email list. And we get that because I took the time to nurture those relationships in my emails.
So
And
talk about the nurturing piece because I understand it. Obviously, I teach this as well, but people don't understand what nurturing really means to your email list. Like what do you want them to do?
right. And so I want to talk first about what I see happening most of the time when somebody starts an email list. They gather these emails and they get them on a list because you're supposed to have a list. And you should have a list of this number or that number or this number to qualify you as a success. And then they stop. And that's it. And the only time they utilize that list is like, oh, it's Black Friday. Let me send out an email to message everybody
Yeah.
and ask them to come spend money with me. And I want you to think about it. If you connected with a new friend and you chatted a little bit and you came, had coffee and went to lunch, and then all of a sudden they disappeared for months and they came back and they said, hey, Nancy, can I have some money? You would be like, no, like,
Right.
no, friendship done. Like, good luck. I wish
I
you
think
luck.
we've all had friends like that. You don't hear from them, then you get an invite to a jewelry party, an Avon party, a this party, and you're like, no, I
No,
don't even really know you anymore. Right?
exactly. And that's what we do with our email list is we gather these. We might send a few emails to connect and then we disappear. And that's the practice that is so prevalent in the business world. And that's why email lists are dead for some people, because they're not nurturing a relationship. They're creating a list with a mindset of what's in it for me versus how can I create this connection.
Yeah, sell, sell, sell to your email list, but you can't just sell to your email list. You have to have breaks in your selling cycles to nurture and give value.
Nurture and give value. And the first thing in my blog post that I talk about here is really embracing those soft skills and building relationships. So the first tip that I want to offer is when you're writing to your email list, first of all, write to them on a consistent basis. We'll just put that out there right away. But secondly, write in a friendly and engaging tone. Don't just say, "Dear Nancy, I would like to sell you a website." Like, no, Nancy, you're not going to respond to that. You're going to be like, delete
Yeah, pretty much I delete all of those.
instantly. And they have 3 seconds of your time and no more. And that is a conservative high. Like, that's a high estimate.
Say that again. People do not understand. And that 3 seconds could be used just to read your subject line. So if you're not nailing that,
That exactly 3 seconds of your time. Think about when you're in your inbox in the morning and you're going through and you've got all these buy. You look through, scan, and they
oh
might
yeah, I highlight the first, the last, and hit delete. I don't even open them.
delete. Yeah, they might get 3 seconds,
Yeah.
might, out of your time. And that's what we want to do. So you want to write in a friendly and engaging tone, and you want a subject line that is going to be engaging as well. And so you want to think about what I do is every time I write an email to my list, I am writing it to my friend Crystal. Crystal was my first client as a web designer. She was actually my first client as a life coach too. She's been my best friend forever, but she also is the poster child of my target audience. She is exactly who I'm here to serve. So maybe it won't be your best friend, but you have somebody in mind who is your dream customer, whether it's your avatar or a client that you worked with, that you love working with, whatever the case. I write, and in my mind, I'm like, hey, Crystal, how's it going? And I write that letter only to her because I
Yes.
know it is going to be relatable to my entire target
This
audience.
is a huge copywriting tip that everybody has to hear. I do the same thing. When we write an email, we think of the one ideal person that this email would be perfect for, and we write it as if we're talking only to them. And obviously, there's other people on the list who feel the same way.
Obviously. But the power of that is I cannot tell you how many times somebody has replied back and said, I feel like you're writing only to me.
Exactly.
And I've actually had people think that I was writing only to them because of the way I craft my emails. They really believed it was a personalized email and not a, a list
A
email that
lump
went
email.
out
Yeah.
to hundreds of people. And
Amazing.
so it creates such a credible connection. When you feel seen and heard, when you get that email in your inbox, it's like, hey, Nancy, what, and you feel that seen and heard and valued, you want to read it. You want to
Yes.
give them more than 3 seconds. You want to at least skim the email, or you want to at least say, you know what, I love hearing from Nancy. Maybe I can't read every single one of her emails, but I love hearing from her and I'm staying on her list.
Right.
She has nuggets that I love to share. And
Right.
that's what you want people to start thinking, not, oh crap, let me unsubscribe.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really annoying. Right. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we do. We go through when we're in a promo cycle, people unsubscribe. And then they come back and they order things from us and they don't get them delivered because they've unsubscribed, but they don't like the promo emails. They like my nurturing emails. So you're trying to always do this balance as a business owner.
There is a balance, and that balance is determined by you and your target audience
Yes.
100%,
Yes.
because what my balance is going to be very different than what yours is. And so you have to know that. But yes, and people are going to leave your list. My advice when people leave your list is be like, good luck, I hope I served you well.
Absolutely. I have no problem when people unsubscribe because that means they are not interested in what I offer. And I don't need to keep them on my list just for numbers, for vanity.
No, I would rather have 100 engaged subscribers than 10,000 people on my list.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hands
And
down.
you'll see your open rates. If you have 100 engaged subscribers and 95% of them open your email because they're interested, you have a 95% open rate. You have 4,000 and only 100 people are on, you're going to not even score as a percent of open rate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there you go. So just be engaging, be friendly,
Engaging.
be warm. The other thing I would suggest is think about how you can tell stories that showcase who you are and what you do. As an interior designer, tell me a story about the worst day ever, when the contractor didn't show up or the pipes blew as furniture's getting delivered or whatever the case is. Like,
Right.
tell me some of those stories and how you overcame those challenges.
People love drama and they love stories.
And they love stories. I am so going to connect with that
Yeah.
because I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, if I was in that situation without your expert advice, I wouldn't know what to do. A good friend and client of mine who's a wedding planner she had a story that she would tell about how they had the wedding all set up, an outdoor wedding, and overnight a freak thunderstorm came up, flooded the area where the wedding was supposed to be, washed away the chairs and covered them with mud. And at 2 o'clock, the bride walked down the new aisle and nobody knew. So she tells that story about how she had to go crazy getting all of this stuff done, but the bride never knew, other than they had to move the
It's
tent.
amazing.
How incredible is that? Now, do you want to hire this wedding planner?
Yeah, because she'll handle all the details for you and not bother you. Like,
Exactly. So stories are really, really powerful. And yes, your stories are interesting. So share your stories and share them in a fun, warm, engaging way. Don't be overly complaining or
yeah,
criticizing people, but
right.
share them in a fun, engaging way, and people are going to connect.
Love it.
Yeah. The next one is be yourself. Try, stop thinking about those old middle schools. Dear madam or sir,
I
never do
know.
things like that. Be like,
You're so funny. Never do things like that. It's off limits. This is old school and we don't want to do that anymore.
off limits. Like, there's a time and a place in the corporate world, not in our world. That is
Yeah.
not. I will always say, but hey, Nancy, or hello there, Nancy, how are you doing today? Or something like
Yes.
greet them like a person, not like an automated number.
Right, but some people are more formal depending on where they live and
And
more,
that's
right? If
right.
you live in a more formal area and your presentation is more, I don't know, I'll say sophisticated, formal, then that's the way your email should be, the way you talk
And
and present,
be warm and inviting. You
but
can
warm and inviting. Well,
still
I'm assuming they're also warm and inviting, but
yes,
you're
right.
right.
You can still say, dear Nancy, it is so lovely to connect with you today. I mean, there's still ways. Like I'm very informal. I mean, obviously, I'm all about like let's grab a cup of coffee and have a chat. But so I'm like, hey there, how's it going? But if you have that more sophisticated clientele, they're a little bit more formal. And dear is appropriate. Dear is not bad to say,
Right,
dear
right,
Nancy, I
right,
hope this email finds you well.
right.
Know your audience and address them as they want to be.
And know at least one person that you're trying to speak to. That was tip number 1 or 2, that you're talking to one person and you're writing it just to them, and then write it in a
Everything
warm way.
flows from there. Everything flows
It's
from there.
true. It's
Yes.
true. Okay.
So be yourself. I mean, that's pretty easy. Think about, have you ever tried to pretend that you're somebody you're not? Or you try to put more emphasis on a struggle you had that just you don't really feel, but you're
Yeah,
trying.
and you're trying to connect it to something to, yeah, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I was at a presentation one time where a health coach was trying to create this trauma around the fact that her husband had lost cattle. And like nobody got there. Like it was a traumatic event.
That was traumatic for her on stage that her story didn't connect.
It was because I mean, like it was a big freeze, and her husband lost cattle, and it was very sad. But her business has nothing to do with cattle. It had everything to do with being an author and a health coach, and so nobody connected with this. And I mean, she even admitted later on it was really difficult to do that presentation because she wasn't herself. It was a charade that she could not
Yeah, that's
use
terrible.
throughout the whole presentation. And so you've got to be yourself because when you're yourself, it's easy. Everything flows. When you're trying to
It's
be
true.
somebody you're not,
Yes.
the
Yes.
charade's gonna fall. It's gonna fail
Okay.
quickly.
And enjoy yourself.
And enjoy yourself. Have fun with it. And then
Yes.
the other thing I would say is really encourage communication. Communication, these email lists that we send out, they're not just a one-way communication. This is a conversation that you're having. Ask questions, encourage them to reply. Anybody who replies to my email list gets a personal email from me, myself, because that is how I've set that up because I want this to be a conversation. And
Right.
so encourage that communication back and forth, not just get on my calendar or read my blog, but hey, hit reply if you have questions. I'd love to answer them for you.
So this reminds me a little bit of when my son was working for me at one point. He was young, and people would come in through the messenger on Facebook Messenger and be like, "I have a question," and he was young, right? He'd go, "I'm just going to send them right to your console page," and I'm like, "No, no, no, wait. Let's have a conversation. Let me take over. Hi, how are you? What's going on? What can I do for you? What's going on with your business? Where are you located? Get a little bit of information to make sure that you are the right person for them. And then if a consult is the right move, then you do it. Like that warm flow of a conversation, not just
Of a
slam.
conversation, right? And honestly, I've had times where people have come in, and I realize I'm not the person that they need, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and I appreciate you reaching out. Would love to introduce you to this person because I think that they can help you with what you're looking for, and that itself has led to referrals, to future leads, to business, to supporting another entrepreneur who is amazing and incredible that I
And
love.
creating the strong connection that you're
And
talking
creating
about.
the strong connection, and it's a relationship that continued on. So
Yes.
keep that communication. But remember, it's a two-way thing.
Yes.
Right. So now I want to talk a little bit about when it comes to mapping out the nurture series. And that is when you get people signed on your list, you want to send out a series of emails. You have your consistent emails, like I email Tuesdays and Fridays, but you also want to send out some nurture series to help them connect with you a little bit more. And so this is a series of 3 to 6 emails, depending on what your goals are, to where you're sending them more regularly to connect and build a relationship. And the first thing you want to consider when you're crafting that nurture series is how did they get on my list? Because you want to build it based on the connection you made. If they signed up for a lead magnet, that's a tiny little connection and they're open enough to give you a chance. That doesn't mean that they're your best friend or your raving fan. They're giving you a chance. So now you want to take that lead magnet to the next level, offer additional value to them, giving them something more, share a tip, share a story, share something that is relatable to that connection point of the lead magnet that is going to start building the relationship. If you
Yeah.
go straight into get on my calendar and schedule a discovery call,
No. Yeah.
then that relationship is probably not going to develop very and not well. So you want to really continue sharing that value and planning it out. If you met them at an event, I mean, how many people in this went to Luann Live? That was huge. Like, I felt left out. I'm not going to lie. It was amazing. But if you had people get on your list from Luann Live, share about the event. Here was my biggest takeaway from Luann Live.
Gee, we should have talked to you before we sent out that email. Because that's a good idea. Darn it, we missed that opportunity. See, this is what I love about marketing. I love marketing because there's not just one right way. There's
Oh,
multiple ways that you can try that other people do, right? You know my Seinfeld series. We call it a Seinfeld series. They get on my list. They start to learn how many years ago when I was a working mom and da da da. They learn a little bit about me, and then we do provide additional value. There's so many ways to do this. I love what you're saying though. How did they get on your list?
how do they get on your list? So again, nurturing that connection, say my biggest takeaway from Luann Live, the speaker that captivated me from Luann Live, the resource that you might have missed when I was at Luann Live, like whatever, like you could go on and on and on and create that nurture series based on the event. So it's very specific, it's very personalized, and they feel again very connected to you as if it's just a one or two-way conversation between you and them.
Love it.
So think about that. And then think about what are the audience's needs. So if they signed up for your sales technique, you have your
My
sales
sales training, right?
yeah, okay, that's how they got on your list is through that. Continue that nurture series, focus on what it is that they're wanting to learn and build on it from there so that they're like, oh, here's more valuable stuff from Nancy.
Right.
Oh,
I could say now that you've learned how to close a sale, close into your consult, have you looked at this other free resource that we have, right?
yes,
And just give value.
just continue to add the value.
Or a blog or a podcast or something you're referring them to keep them engaged in your world.
To keep them engaged. The ultimate goal is that they're going to become a customer at some point. That's the goal. When you make yourself a valuable resource that they become to rely on, the option for the chance of them saying yes is that much higher. Sorry, my brain's moving ahead of me here,
It's
but,
okay.
they are going to be that much more likely to say yes. They're going to be pre-qualified at that point. When they get on your calendar and have that discovery call, they
Yeah.
might tell themselves, well, I'm just going to see what Nancy has to offer. But they've already decided you're a valuable resource and they've already started rearranging their finances in their head and how they can get you.
It's amazing when that happens because you know the people who have, dove into your content and dove into who you are. Because when you get on a video with them, they feel like they already know you.
Yes. And I'm going to add something here that I don't have in my blog, and I probably should, but I don't want you to think that just because you start an email list and nobody is hiring you right now, or a month from now, or 3 months from now, don't think that you're failing. Don't think that it's a waste of time. And I will say this, a majority of the people that are on my email list that hire me, that bring me in to do web design, have been on my list for at least a year, some as many as 4.
I was going to say 18 months, really, sometimes on average. And that goes back to how many times people have to hear from you, have a touch point from you before they have the confidence to hire you if they have a need for what you do. So there's so many criteria.
And there's so much behind the scenes that we don't always see. I had the opportunity last month to connect with a client or with a woman, a beautiful woman, Sri Lanka, who's been on my list for quite a while. And she's followed me. She's done a lot of my courses. She's done that. And she finally has the confidence and the excitement to launch her business. Is she ready to hire me as a web designer? Nope, she's not. And
Right.
you know what? That's okay because I'm still providing her with value and I'm still offering something to her because I want her to succeed. And in 2 years, maybe she will be ready.
Right. For the person who is so generous with her will be the person that they often hire. So,
And I love that I'm that resource. So keep in mind that just because you're not being hired doesn't mean you're not a valued resource, that they will not find a way to work with you at some point. Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
long game, but it's a worth long game. And then I want
Amazing.
to say, go beyond the nurture series. You have got to put a system in place in your business so that you are emailing your list consistency, not to sell, but to connect, to
Well, we always say, right, for you want to educate, entertain, or engage, right? You don't always want to sell, and then you throw in occasionally something you may be presenting to sell, but you want them to get value on a consistent basis or get entertainment, right?
right. And we all know what that feels like. I mean, we all were just bombarded on Black Friday. I have an app on my phone, unroll.me, to get
Oh, hold on. Let me write that one down. Unroll.me.
that is the best app I think I've ever had. I've had it for years. But I all of a sudden started getting all these new emails popping up from people I haven't heard from, some of them in years,
I know.
trying to sell me things. I did not look at what they had to offer because I have no relationship, I have no loyalty, I have no investment in their success. I wish them well. I don't hate them. I'm not angry with them,
Right.
but I have nothing, no connection with them. And
Right.
so in my little app, I just went through and said, click the button and unsubscribe from probably 30 emails over the Black Friday weekend
Yeah.
because I hadn't heard from any of them. I didn't even know who some of them were.
It's so funny because so many coaches roll out Black Friday deals, and I did it once or twice, hated it, and I thought I'm just going to get deleted like everybody else. It's too much in one day.
It's too
So
much.
find your other time of year to make yourself stand out if you're going to do some kind of special.
And I did a risky thing that a lot of marketers would disagree with. I actually did not email, and I always emailed on Mondays or Fridays and Tuesdays are my emails. I took the week off and
I
did
think that
not.
was smart.
I didn't, and people probably didn't even realize it, but I did not want to be another burden in their inbox. And
Yeah.
so I love my list. I love the people who are with me. I don't want to be a burden. So I just didn't send anything out for Black Friday.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yep.
All right. Tell everyone how to find you if they need to talk about their website or they need some training because they're DIYers or they need to hire you to do their website.
So you can find me at caffeinecreative.io, which is our website. We've got the Creative Vault, which has tons of free stuff in there. I know in the post, we've got a blog post that talks more and more about creating those nurturing series. And of course, there's a free resource in our vault that is going to help you with a welcome series that is engaging and warm and inviting. And it's a free class that you guys can take. Yeah, I have so many free resources. If you're out there saying, I just don't know where to go, and you're not utilizing these resources, then you're hurting yourself because
It's hard. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. There are a ton of free resources in Teresa's website that allows you to DIY a lot of your own stuff that you might be struggling with until you have the funds to hire someone to do it with you. So, so important that you do that for everybody because I don't think many people in the beginning of their business have the seed money to create a fabulous website, the ones that like you create.
but you can create one that is good enough, just like you and I did originally.
Oh yeah, twice.
Created one that was good enough
Yeah.
that brought in the business so that we could hire the people we needed.
Exactly. So, all right. Thank you, Teresa. This was a great topic. Anyone who came in late, please go back and watch because there were so many valuable tips in this live that I don't want you to miss out on anything.
Yes.
All right. Go check out Teresa at caffeinecreative.io for all your website needs. Right.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Teresa.